Hi, welcome to Slick Willy Fly, and today we're going to do part 3 of the 3-part series on beginner flies for redfish. So I've been thinking long and hard about which is going to be the 3 flies that I selected. You've seen the Slickback Willy, you've seen the Alien. So now what I really wanted to do was this little Marabou Charlie. This is a great fly, but I think that it doesn't meet the criteria for this series. It's a couple of, it's more materials, and I don't know that I can say truthfully that this is truly a beginner tie, but this is definitely a video we're gonna make. So what I decided to do is I went back to, this is just a classic, a straight Clouser Minow. Nothing fancy, nothing improved. This is just the original Clouser Minow. And this fly right here is literally white bucktail and a little bit of Krystal flash. So for the one we're gonna make today, it's not gonna be exactly this. I'm gonna put in a little bit of Chartreusse bucktail as well. But as you can see, you don't need to. It could be a really, really simple and quick tie. So let's change the camera angle and let's do it. Part 3 coming up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with a little bit of 140 denier white thread. For Dumbell eyes, I'm gonna use brass. They are basically silver with a yellow painted eye with a black pupil. Then we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of white bucktail for the tail. Just getting my Dumbell eye out. Now for the Dumbell eye, I guess I should explain this a little bit in some of the other videos. A lot of times I use the actual Dumbell eye as a guide for where I want to place the Dumbell eye. So like you saw there, it was literally the length of the eye. So I'm just going to do a few wraps in each direction, making sure that I like where it's sitting, which I do. Now I'm going to do a few more in each direction. And once I feel good that it's locked in, I'm gonna just go ahead and cinch it nice and hard. And then just so that I know that this will never move, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a drop of super glue. But before I give it any super glue, I'm gonna really make sure that I like where it's sitting. So for the bucktail, I'm going to start with white, like I said. And this white is getting really banged up. But I know I have enough to make a couple more flies. And that piece right there will be plenty. You don't need a lot of bucktail. It's not a big fly. In the vise, I have a Mustad 34007. Right here is the Mustad 34007 in size 2. So I like the size 2 for redfish. I can go as big as 1.0 for redfish if I know I'm in some big guys. And I guess really it's important to have flies tied in a variety of sizes. So what I've done now is I've just removed all the shorts like I always do. And now I'm going to make sure I don't have anything crazy long. And now I'm going to think about my length. So my length, what do I want my length to be? Maybe 2 hook shanks. There's a hook shank. And there's a hook shank. So I could trim the rest off. And now all I'm going to do is basically place this up against the dumbbell eyes, giving it that spin that we talked about in previous videos, so that this curls the way I want it to curl. I'm not going to go all the way against the dumbbell eyes. I want to make sure I capture the thread, the bucktail. A couple of loose wraps. I'm going to give it actually a couple of loose wraps all the way up. I'm going to go loose all the way to the end of the tail, end of the hook. Just a bunch of loose wraps just to there. Now I'm going to make sure that I like the placement of everything, that I like the distribution, and now holding it in place, I can pull that tight and I can lock that in and work my way back to the dumbbell eyes. I held it tight the whole entire way. And just make that nice and clean and neat, just like that. Perfect. So the tail's basically done. Perfect. So now I bring my thread up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop the fly out, invert it, so I can make my life easy. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the vise in the inverted position. Just like that. Beautiful. Now I'm going to bring my thread under the eyes, give myself a little base. So now it's Krystal Flash. For Krystal Flash, I'm using silver. I think that the silver looks good with this fly. But I mean, any Krystal Flash that you have can work. I think that I probably use more silver and gold than all the other Krystal Flash colors combined. Occasionally I'll use some yellow, maybe some pink. In that Marabou Charlie that I showed you earlier in this video, I did use some pink in that fly. So I folded the Krystal Flash in half. I got them fairly even. And now I've got it folded in half fairly even. And I'm just going to place it on top of the hook and lock that in. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and open my loop. And I'm not going to worry about trimming anything because I don't really know my length yet. So now I'm going to get a piece of Chartreusse. Don't need a lot. This is such an easy fly. This is such an easy fly, but the truth is that the Clouser Minow probably has caught more saltwater fish than any other fly. Again, I'm going to take away all the shorts. I'm going to restack anything that's super long. Just like that. Now I'm going to check my length. And the length, I don't want the length to be much more than the tail. About even with the tail. So that's about the length that I want right there. So I can trim that off. I think it's a great idea to measure 2 or 3 times like you just saw me do. Make sure, because once you cut it, you cannot put the fibers back. So now all I'm gonna do is I keep my thread by the dumbbell eyes. I'm going to present the bucktail, and then I'm going to give it 2 loose wraps. I never let go of the bucktail, but now I'm pulling the bucktail back so that it exposes the eye of the hook. And what this does is it makes this head super clean. Now, in a previous video, we talked about thread color, and I recommended that you can always have white, and you can change your white to any color you want. That came out perfect, beautiful. Even though I did lose a few, I lost a little bit of bucktail there, but it's fine. It came out perfect. You can always add more bucktail if you think you need to, but I don't think so. So I'm going to take a marker, just like we talked about, and I'm going to change the color of this thread. Just that easy. And this will look great when I use my UV resin. This is an awesome fly. My personal best redfish was caught on a Clouser Minow. It wasn't Chartreusse, it was Olive, but still personal best. And I promise you that the Clouser Minow has probably caught more saltwater fish than any other fly. So now it's a whip finish. And I like using my whip finish tool. There's nothing wrong with doing whip finishes by hand. I just think that when I use my tool, it gives me a more consistent, good looking knot. I'm going to take 30 seconds to vacuum up all this deer hair that's everywhere. You know, I can't stress enough the value of this little vacuum cleaner. I think that should be in every fly tier's toolbox. So this fly is going to swim just like this. Let's see if I can show it to you. That came out perfect. That's the way this fly is going to swim. I love the length. It's just the right amount of flash, and the only thing left to do is a little UV resin head. Personally, I think that came out perfect. I'm definitely going to make a video of that Clouser Charlie, because that is a great fly. But for this beginner series, I just think that the Clouser Minow is the right choice. Definitely the right choice. Hope you guys are having a cocktail with me. So I'm just going to put a little bit of resin, a tiny little bit of resin on the knot and on the Dumbell eyes. And that's plenty right there. You notice I'm not in any rush. I love the way that UV resin looks. I mean, you get two things here. You get the great look, and it really makes these flies bulletproof. And I'm very anxious for my new lamp to show up. Now I could see here I got a couple of fibers that are not exactly, they're a little bit longer than I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lighter. In fact, I'll show you the trick right now. Just going to cure this up a little bit. They say UV resin is, 5-10 seconds, but I'm not a commercial fly tire. So if I take 15, 20, 30 seconds, a minute, it doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure it's cured. So I have a lighter right here, and I have one of my needles. And all I'm going to do is singe. Well, this lighter's basically spent. I'm gonna heat up my lighter, and then I'm gonna quickly get in here and just singe off those hairs, just like that. And then you eliminate the risk of hurting your fly. Well, it looks like my lighter's empty. I have to get another lighter, but you see what I mean. It's a great trick. And here's the fly. It's actually I'm gonna reverse that, put it on here. So there it is, the Clouser Minow. Hey, welcome back. So there it is, Chartreusse Clouser Minow. Can easily be tied in all white. They're basically the same fly. There endless amount of color variations you can tie here. They're all good. They all work. You match the size of your hook, obviously, to what you're going for. If you're in freshwater, you don't use a stainless hook because you want, if you break it off, you want the hook to rust and fall out of the fish's mouth. Don't forget to look me up on Instagram. Slick Willie's now on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part series. Be on the lookout for the Marabou Charlie, because this fly is definitely coming. This video is coming. This is too awesome a fly to not make a video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and good luck catching. See you on the next video with a cocktail.